Okay, excellent. So, as I told you, I was a writing mentor. So, I have this thing about seeing writing for the year. So we've created these documents for you to see the writing focus for the entire year in one place. So Christina's fabulous, and she actually just gave you the whole K5 set. So you're gonna find your grade level, but you can at least see how it grows. But this is just, and this isn't our scope and sequence, but this is just pulls out the writing so you can focus on those writing, what each week is focusing on and what type. K and 1 teachers, I put down the grammar for that week too, since that is obviously going to be heavily embedded in all 3 levels. So this is where you can put in your folder, but just wanting to create, it's the year at the glance of just the writing. And we're going to go over more with writing when we get the teacher edition, of course, but just wanted to have you have this as a resource.
Can you write on these?
These are yours to keep. We can also send them all to you digitally. We have all of these, of course. Yes, Christina?
I heard the discussion about the history and social science. I actually have a document that I'll send to Erin that she can add, Google Doc that gives you a layout of the connections and everything across the curriculum.
So that's for the obviously it's the whole K6 spectrum there. But I want you to have that at a glance. Okay? So here's the idea of wonders. Must-dos, right? So in wonders, the idea is we teach and model, and the kids practice and apply in some regard. They take those skills and practice and apply in some regard. We have different ways they can practice and apply. It's not one way only. It gives flexibility. That's why that key book was such an important piece, so that it allows you as a teacher to make some decisions about how you want the students to practice and apply. Okay? When we look at these student resources, we understand that not everything will be used every single week, and that's okay. Because the idea is we teach and model, the kids practice and apply. That's really the overarching piece of Wonders. Okay? So we had a key book, and that was called the Reading Writing Workshop book. So with the key, we want to unlock the students' learning each week. So one way for the kids to do that, the students to do that, is through that literature anthology, and in kindergarten, that's your big books. So the idea is the first couple of days, they would be in the key book, the Reading Writing Workshop book. The rest of the week, they'd be practicing and applying those skills. One resource you can use, and it's a very mighty good one, is the anthology. So these 2 books are not out at the same time. I want to make that clear. A key goes into, look on the binding of the anthology, please. What do you see on the binding of the anthology? The keyhole. One goes into the other. You're just probably in the front in first grade. I think they do it on the front. He's standing in the keyhole there.
Oh, okay.
Got very fancy at that first grade level there. All right. That's what it was. When you get to the hardbound book, first grade, it'll be on the binding when it's big enough. Kinder, that's you, Amber, I'm talking to. So Kinder, Amber, you're going to have a big book for each week. So what I want to make clear with the big book, when you look up here, how many selections are in each big book? 2. In kindergarten, we're working on close listening. We know they're not doing close reading to a degree, but they're always, whether a reader or not, can do close listening. So every week in kinder, you have an anchor text in your big book and a compare text. The students are going to be comparing those 2 pieces. It's all built into one big book for you each week, okay, Amber? It's always in one. First grade and up, you have that anthology. You'll do me a favor in the anthology and open up to the table of contents. Each week, please notice you have an anchor text. That's that longer first one, okay? You have an anchor text and you have a compared text. The anchor text is that same genre that we've been talking about in the reading writing workshop book. So do me a favor, please, and turn a few pages so you get to that first week anchor text. So third grade teachers, I'm showing you an ebook. Remember, every student has an ebook as well. So here I have Wolf. One very cool thing for that first story, that anchor text, there is going to be, let me go ahead and get back into it. Hold on. There we go. Let me go and open up my ebook. There's going to be a table of contents. That is a hyperlink table of contents. So you can click on what week students, okay. The audio summary is in 10 languages. The school to home letters are in the same 10 languages. Okay. So I just got a student that came in that speaks Tagalog, don't have a lot of resources for that. There's at least a little audio summary.
Logo. Ang mga pantasyang kwento ay nagkukwento.
Okay. Do you see the essential question again? It's the thread. Turn the pages. Do you see the vocabulary again? Look in, and as you look through the story, look for some stop and checks based on your strategies and skills for the week. The reread purpose, right? So this is going to be what I'm going to call the anchor text. Once again, all of this digital. Okay. The cool thing about the ebook is that, can you read that in the back, Diana? That first paragraph? So I'm going to zoom in to the paragraphs for you, okay? How about that? Is that a little better? Okay. You can press the play.
After walking for many days, a wolf wandered into a quiet little town.
You can press pause. You have a discussion if you
He
want
was
it.
tired
It picks
and
back
hungry.
up where you
His
stopped
feet
it.
ached, and he had only a little money that he kept for emergencies. Then he remembered.
I wonder what he's going to remember. Pause it. You know, so it's very much that interactive piece. Once again, the ebook has highlighting, possibilities. Students can take notes. I am taking notes. All right, save that. So it's just saved right there, okay? So it's very much of an interactive type of digital support piece to it, okay? Do me a favor and just walk through that anchor text until you get to the respond to the text. So awesome. So just The Princess and the Pizza. It's a silly story. I like Wolf too. Yes, it did have the audio as well. Yes, I might not have shown it that. Yeah, there's the audio support for the student books. Okay. Second grade, you're reading help, right? All right. Yes.
Can we also have unit 1
Of course.
instead of unit 2?
They both put in there, maybe not.
Oh.
Which one are they?
We're missing anthology unit 1.
Unit 1 anthology. They have Unit 1 and Unit 2
I
are
think I have
reading
it.
writing workshops.
I think I have
You
it.
have it? Okay, I didn't see it in that one. Let me go look at that.
Yeah. Okay.
Questions, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's what we have in there.
All three of them need it?
Two need them. for
I
each.
have it, I
You
have
have
one
it,
too.
okay.
All right, so the respond, summarize, write, make connections, okay? Excellent. Those are, one thing I want to make clear. This whole anchor text is based on exactly what you taught and modeled in the key book. The vocabulary, the comprehension strategy, the comprehension skill, the genre, the vocabulary strategy. It's based on that. Do me a favor and turn the page after the respond to the text, and you'll see something that says compare text on top. So you have Jenny and the Wolf, which is a fable. It's really short. Look at your compare text. Maybe a few pages, maybe a poem. Might be really, really short in second grade with crayons, right? So the idea is that this is the compared text. So students are making those comparisons between the anchor text and the compare text. Isn't the crayons a sweet poem? It is.
And then every anchor text has the summarized.
Every
right, and
anchor
make
text
connections.
has the summarize, write, and make connections. You've got it. That's the big one.
Right.
The compare text is to make that integration and that comparison. So once again, the anthology. The number one thing I really want out of all of it is that it's the practice and application. That's what I want to make clear. It's the keyhole. It's the practice and application. There is an anchor text and a compare text. Kinder, you do that in your big books with your close listening. And it does mix up genres. If you notice that, your compare text is a different genre than your anchor text. Look at a second week and see if it's the same with the anchor and compare text. Would you do me a favor, just look at a second week of the anthology?
You said the genre between the reading, writing workshops
And the
same,
anchor text is
right?
the same. That anchor text is based on, because we do that mini lesson of the genre, so that anchor text is based on that same genre. That is correct. So the kids in the reading writing workshop book would have a realistic fiction. They also have a realistic fiction in this book too. Yeah. So there's multiple exposures of that specific genre. Yep. Okay. Was that following week the same? Following week was set up the same with that anchor text. And then that compared text. And it even on the top says compared on the top of that. So big picture of wonders. Ready? Here it is. Reading, writing workshop book, teach and model the beginning of the week, the first couple days. Okay? It's the key. Then we have the students practice and apply those skills. One way they can do it is through that anthology. Is that making sense, those two pieces, how they go together? Okay? One of the things, I don't have too many favorites, but there's a really cool consumable that you have. There's two different ones. One is called the Close Reading Companion. Cody, do you think it comes in an ebook where the students could type their answers in it?
I think it does.
All
I
righty.
think it does.
Will you take out, it should be softbound at all grade levels. Yes, it starts in kindergarten, Amber. We don't wait to first grade because we need them to do close listening at that kinder level. It's always hard as a first grade teacher when things started at first grade and not kinder. Then it was just brand new to their world. It is a consumable.
But all the units are.
You would, that's the one thing, it would have to be, at this point, it's not unitized, like the, yeah. Well, or like the student books. Here's the idea of the close reading companion. If you open up the table of contents, what I want you to know, Amber, this is a companion to your big book. First grade and up, this is a companion to your anthology. It says it's a companion, but what is it a companion to? It's a companion to the stories that were in the anthology. It's a companion to that. How many of you would think of really great questions to get your students to go back into the text to unlock meaning for author's purpose, text structure? So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to find the story you just looked at in the anthology. I have 5th grade, it's One Hen. You'll have Help or Wolf. Okay. So remember, in Wonders we read and then we reread for purpose and intent. Here's the reread focus for the students. I'd like you to look, first, of course, there is the question, right, in bold. What do you see after the question that's in bold? Talk. We're talking about listening and speaking standards. I'll pull them out for you, but everything that we're looking at so far, the reading writing workshop book, that focus, it's going to be infused so often. So we have them talk first. This is not set up as an independent piece. You can move it that way, but the idea, once again, is that there's a collaboration to it. After we the students talk about the question, what do we ask the students to do next? Cite text evidence. I know that this box is not very big because they're not supposed to write a lot in this. They're supposed to pull down just some key words. If you do the ebook, you can, it does get bigger if the kids are typing things in. Okay? So after we cite the text evidence, what's that last part we're asking the students to do? Right. One of my favorite things is thinking about close reading. The last part of close reading is actually close writing. That's actually that little bow that goes along with close reading. The write is not a long write. It is a response to this question. Okay? It's really set up just to develop. With writing, we have different kind of writing stamina as we build, right? This is a short response to the question is the idea behind it. Okay? So look through it. You're going to have a couple key questions that go along with your anchored text. You'll have a couple key questions that go with that anchored text. I want you to turn the pages until you see the title of your compared text. So there's your crayons, your poem, right? You have Tomas and the Sun and his sons. You have Jenny and the Wolf. I have Banks. So the anchor and the compared text are both part of the close reading companion. What do you notice about the compared text? And in kinder, it's using pictures, okay, and a title. What do you notice about the compared text in the close reading companion?
It's there.
It's there. Yours is a poem, so you don't quite see it for the first one, Donna.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, go to one. It's usually it's written out. That text. Yeah, so that text is written out. Why do you think that text is written out in the close reading companion?
Do you have it there when you're answering the question?
Yep. Annotation, citing, it's even numbered to help go back into it. It's consumable, it comes every year.
So that they can
Consume it for the pilot. I know it's a 4-week pilot, but you have to use programs as they're intended to be.
Oh, no, I just mean it's nice to have it here because then I can actually.
Yes,
Arrow.
exactly.
On it.
And I just want to make it clear that we do want you to consume this. We know you're only going to use a little section of it, but we want you to treat it as you would if it were in your classroom for the year. Okay? Yep. So the annotation's there. How many of you as college students were really particular about your used books you bought? And someone was highlighter happy? Do you see those books, right? They sell them back and every single word was highlighted yellow. On my day, we really just had a yellow highlighter. I'm sure it'd be different colors now, but yellow was the color back when I went to college. But those students went through college not knowing how to properly annotate and get information to put into writing or test-taking skills. So this starts at what grade level, Amber? Kindergarten. It's with a picture, circle the picture, or whatever it might be. It's not going to be.
But the companion text is not here.
The companion text is going to be a picture. So what about bear? And then you have how to be a friend. Yep, so it goes with your big books. Yep. That compare text is in there. It's just not going to be as long each week.
Okay.
So any questions? Yes, Nancy?
To get this fidelity,
Mhm.
like when they're on that first part of the reread part, are they to go back to the anthology to reread it? Because I know we said that it was written here and then they go back and read it here.
So for the compare text, they really don't need to go to both.
So they
They-
can just use this?
Yeah, it's what's going to reference in here. The anchor text, they have to go back to the anthology because those first questions, the
Well,
anthology.
that's what I'm talking about. Does this need to,
Yeah, so for the wolf, they would go back into their story.
they do have to use the anthology text.
Mm-hmm.
Then to answer these other questions, they can use this.
Exactly.
All
Mm-hmm.
right.
Yeah, they do, because we do want them to go back to that paragraph or to those pages to pull out the textual evidence. So we really want that textual evidence. They can do it all digitally. I mean, it could be 2 print books out.
Right.
It could be a digital and a print. It could be 2 digital. The sky's the limit with that digital part. If you go past the compare text, everyone, my dad says I don't know what the word favorite means because every song was my favorite when I was 6 years old riding in the car with him. So this is one of my favorites. Let's put it that way. Look at the integrate with the blue on top. Remember, in this program, we read, we reread for purpose and intent, and we integrate our knowledge each and every week. Look at the integrate. What are our students doing when they integrate with the close reading companion? They're still talking, citing, and writing. Good, so it follows that flow. What else are they doing when they integrate? Circle, yep. So they're doing some kind of annotation with it, correct? You know those DOKs, depth of knowledge? These are the 4s. This is the synthesizing. This is, can they take what they've read and apply it to a new source and find those connections? One of the reasons why this is my favorite is that the medium of application changes each week. So how many of you have a poem right now for integrate? Anybody have artwork? Anybody have song lyrics? Go look at another week. The medium changes. You bring fine art into the integration. I get the warm fuzzies. Fine art will be part of this. Photography, NASA. So the integrate does change the actual medium. So now you have a lovely piece of art there. Just look at a few. That integrate medium changes. The idea is the same, that we synthesize the learning to apply it to a new medium. But the medium itself changes. In your table groups, will you share with each other, and I'm going to have you share out, the top 2 or 3 things about these student materials for you. Talk about them with one another. What stands out to you about the student materials? This is what they're having in their hands. These are the books that are coming to you.
So all of them that we've looked at?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything that we've talked about, those are the books that are coming your way.
I like how it uses like Venn diagrams and different graphic organizers.
When it like showed that, like it used to like show but it down below, but there was nothing for them to actually use unless you dragged out the practice book and it had one copy.
So it's like,
I think the integration of the water,
Another point, Donna.
they're so huge too, because I'm always trying to look.
Yeah, I love it.
And I like how it like has the, well, you know, it's like how it like talks about the strategy, because it looked like they had a little chunk like that in their anthology. They have more of what we like kind of had in our teaching, you know, like talks about it. It's nice to
Yeah, make it an acronym. Seriously. Yeah, it's very consistent, so you can have that be, you know, that's the goal for these resources.
I think we're going to be fans of teachers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Together, and I think it addresses a lot of this.
We'll share in about 2 minutes. Just a little bit though, please. I'm gonna do Mighty Pop, or, you know, I'll do Monty Python here, and not dead yet. So you'll be okay. You'll be okay. No, that's not good.
She's super excited.
Is that true for you? Studying your ELA, how the connects, and then I'll put my email on that because I live in Southern California now, so I travel throughout, but I'll just put my emails and resource. Those ladies live right here. All right. What were some things that stood out about the student resources? Because we'll connect it to the instruction now, but now that we've seen the student resources, I think that instruction will just couple with it very nicely. Donna, what were some things that stood out for you?
I think there's a lot of resources that will help us with win time and not having to reinvent the wheel.
Great point.
I spend so much time prepping for win, it just stresses me out, and I don't think we'll need to do that anymore.
Good. Donna brings up a really valid point. Working with teachers and using this with students, one thing I really noticed is that the teachers that were involved in creating Wonders really thought about what time am I spending on prep and how much time am I spending on prep versus how much time I actually use that prep for instruction. Sometimes the scale is like this versus you want it like this, where the instructional part is longer than the prep time for it. So a lot of prep was minimized with Wonders, with that idea behind it. So that's a great point, Donna. What else stood out?
Looking at it as a parent,
Okay.
and a parent of twins going into second grade who are drastically different, I can see both of them and their abilities and where they are, both engaging and being supported and successful. Because
Great.
those two kids of mine are ridiculously opposite. So,
They just shared an egg
So I
for
was
a
just
while.
telling her I was going to
yeah,
have one of them
she's
in
got,
my
she's
class.
got the capable high hair.
They're both
one.
capable, right?
They are capable. But he's you're classically bored. So
I have one of those at home.
Yeah.
he's
Challenge.
going to be excited by all the things that are in here, whereas she's going to be supported to say because she's the one I can't do it. She gives up.
Shuts down.
So as a parent and seeing these the way that it's laid out and the consistency is gonna work for his engineer mind, and for her, she's gonna buy into what's there because it's small chunks.
Oh, excellent, great point.
The
I
only
love that.
long text is that anchor text.
That's the only long, is that anchor
But
text?
that's also in fourth grade, it's not longer
Right,
for
yeah.
them.
But it's, yeah,
It's not all long reads,
It's
it's not all long
applicable
reads.
for all,
Yeah,
which is nice.
good. What else, anything else stood out? Those are two great things. Anybody want to add to it? First grade UC support for foundational skills in those resources, and then tying those foundational skills, of course, with that close reading. Good. I wrote probably the longest way to describe the close reading companion, and you might have written it a lot shorter. Me, my wordy self, focuses on close reading to reread specific paragraphs for deeper understanding of the text and text structure. But I like that some of you wrote that it was talk, cite, write, and kind of doing that mantra with your students. We talk, we cite, we write. We talk, we cite, we write. But that is the purpose of the close reading companion there. I think one of the most exciting things working with students with Wonders is how much they enjoy the stories. We know as a teachers how important that is, that buy-in, that high interest. So lots of variety of types of stories they're going to be encountering. So those are the key resources, one being a key, one being a keyhole. But remember, we read, we reread for purpose and intent, and we integrate knowledge to deliver this TOK force. Got to integrate knowledge. Yes, Amber?
Are there districts who used this last year, or is this?
Yeah, is Elk Grove a good one? They piloted for an entire year. So they had how many teachers that piloted for an entire year last year? And they're local.
About 97 classroom teachers, and then they had resource specialists, learning centers, and things like that. So they had about 12 teachers per grade level-ish. They did a K-6 adoption, and they're implementing, and they already started school, so they started their implementation in July. Center Unified, which is just up 80 a little bit,
Yeah.
piloted like the second half of last school year, and they're implementing. River Delta is implementing, they're down I-5.
I'm just thinking of I'm in my head trying to think of how to best pilot all the things, but with it being the beginning of kindergarten,
So
I'm
true.
really, really nervous about it. So maybe I can get an email of a teacher to talk to about how they.
Absolutely.
Because I'd love to use all of that, but I'm just.
You're right, they're learning how to not cry.
Yeah.
Both the parents and the student, depending on what class I had. But yeah, there's a lot that's going on just the first few weeks of kinder, welcoming them to a school environment.
So maybe if you guys have an email.
Yeah.
to
Yes.
Yeah, we'll do that, that'll be great. Okay. So, if you don't mind, you can keep the student resources out if you want, or you can put them away if you want to clear your space a little bit, either way. Okay? Out of curiosity, how many of you have, if you've only decided, how many of you are thinking about starting with Wonders? Okay, so about 3/4, okay. This is familiar because being Treasures users, the idea of Start Smart has not changed. We know that we can't just jump in, both feet, first day of school and go. We want to build routines. So I know you're piloting, so Start Smart is up to a few weeks depending on your grade level. What day of the week do you start school? Wednesday. So I don't know if the first couple of days you want to do a couple of those routines. So if you take out Unit 1, even if you're using Unit 2, but Unit 1, you might want to pull out a couple of those routines to do the first few days of school for Start Smart. So I'll give some suggestions as you look at it. There's also a plastic sleeve in Unit 1 where you can put this foldable when we're done with it, and you have your notes. We're not quite done, but you have your notes there. So if you just go past a few pages, you'll get to those S pages, which do stand for Start Smart.
Where do you find that?
Well, two different ways you can go ahead and access it. Do you want the teacher edition itself exactly as is, or do you want more of the digital plan?
Digital plan.
Okay, so go to Plan. And go to Unit 0. Nice. Yeah, so if you're online and you want to look at the digital plan, the plan is actually Unit 0. Yeah. So looking at Start Smart, it's up to 10 days, up to 3 weeks, but obviously you're not going to use it for all of that. So a couple of things maybe you'd want to do during Start Smart. I just worked with the group on Thursday, and a lot of them wanted to do the collaborative conversation routine. And one of the read and reread ideas as well. So I know you're not going to do it all. Yes, Miss Erin.
Just to clarify, in Treasures it was 3 weeks for K and
It's instead of exactly the same. So K and 1 is still 3 weeks, and second grade and up it's 2 weeks. It's still that same idea, but I know might not want to use all of that time for it. So maybe Thursday and Friday you do it. So I just want to give you a couple minutes to look at Start Smart. But once again, if all of you will turn the page till you get to that collaborative conversation routine. It's pretty large and it's pretty much in the beginning. Yeah, I think you have it right after the plan here. I think I saw it right there. This is collaborative conversation. Yeah, it's one of the first things you'll see. So that might be one.
So where would I find, like mine says share the blah 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 video.
Yep, that's what I'm going to show you right now. That's exactly why I want you to go to it and make a note. It talks about sharing the video. Do you all have you all logged in to Connect Ed at this point? Okay. Will you do me a favor if you don't mind? I'd like to show you things digitally right now. If you be on it, we can go. Are you okay going back and forth between the print and digital? Okay. So when you log on, when you click on Teacher Edition, it is going to, Christina, did you set up the calendars for them already, or no?
No,
Okay.
I'm not.
All right, so that's what I want to show you. Is some of you might have already done that. That basically when you log in for the first time, this is the first screen you're going to see. Because it wants you to set up a calendar. It wants you to pop in, and do you know calendars are movable, so we can change things up. One thing I do recommend, I know it's a pilot, but I always recommend putting the year the class is, because each year you get a new class, but you can keep your old, so things that you say and all of that will still be in the system. So I'm going to call it Deborah Shepherd's 2016. Amber, you're K students. Maybe first grade 2. Can you be back there too? You can do a simplified login where there's a unique URL for the students, and their log would be like 3 apple banana. They're pictures versus typing a lot in. So it's really set up for the primary kiddos to have, once again, easy access to digital. We don't want the half-hour typing to log in. We want to actually get them on.
So if we forgot to click that.
Well, I'll show you where you can change it. It's not a big deal. We can always do that. So it asks for your first teaching day. So you might want to put your first teaching day as is, and then we can go ahead and condense the lesson week so that you have Start Smart for just 3 days versus 10 days. We can do that. Or you can say you want your starting school earlier than you are, because it's going to populate 2 to 3 weeks of Start Smart depending on your grade level, automatically. So you can put your first date is the 10th. Is that when you're starting? Right. I'm gonna start. Click the word next. Don't worry about having your school calendar out right now. You can always add non-teaching days after the fact. Okay, so what's already in the system are usually holidays across the state. And then you press save on the very bottom and just give it a moment to populate. It's now populating your calendar. So now just give it a moment. It's just setting up your calendar. Oh, you already logged in. You already did it.
If it's already set, like mine's off by.
Mine's set
Mine
really
started in
weird.
June.
Mine is too, it shows Tuesdays are the first day of the week.
If we logged in.
Yeah.
Like mine,
The first time you logged in, you just like kept.
When I go on it, it says all my school.
So you know, if you are that off, if you are that off,
Over the summer, like when you
All
guys
right,
were
let me
initially
show you.
reviewing, that's.
a few people have used
That's
this,
what happened.
looked at it before, so they're really off.
I started.
Let's go to management and sign, just create a new class. It's just the easiest.
So, yeah.
So if you're super off, you didn't do what I just did right now because you've already logged in a different time, manage and assign. Class details is a sub-tab. And let's create a class. You can, once we create the class, we can remove the other one so it's not in your system. So if you're that off, just create a class and it will have you set your calendar again for a new class.
I think what happened was because they all got their own accounts when they did their initial review.
Yeah.
They probably
Oh, so we're gonna we'll get rid of that class. I'll show you how to do it. So to model it for you, I just created a new class is what I had done. So please, if you need to, create a class if you've been on this site before and your calendar's set way off.
And then we'll just do our first teaching day as on this.
And then we can condense Start Smart after the fact so that you have the first week starting when you want it. You want to come up here?
No, I don't.
Okay, let's see. Did you want to,
When I logged in during the summer,
Oh,
I
okay. So you were at home, how did you
I want to play with it, but I don't, if I'm really tired, it's just
Yeah, so you were here. That's all I, and then I wanted this tab.
Probably not a good
Visuals, manage design visual. And then this class details is where all your stuff's going to be.
I don't.
Aaron's pulling out blank.
And then
I never
create
usually have this.
So go ahead, how was the 2016, 2017 class? It's labeled different than your other one is. Your other one is probably no, only if you're way off. You can condense days, extend days once you get into it. I'll show you that. Some people are like 3 months, some people are like a month and a half off. So that would take a lot of work to try to condense in that regard. Yes. And then how to start how many of you created a new class just now? I see some hands. So if you go to manage and assign, okay, there's some drop downs of the different classes you now have. So if you want to get rid of your old class, let me show you up here. If I want to, I have 3 classes. I've got to stop adding classes. So I'll get rid of this one. And my class details has something that says remove. So you can just remove that class you set up in June. And so then you're down just to 1. Now all of you that only have 1 class, you don't see this drop down there. You only have 1 class already. Only if you have more than 1 class will you have a drop down to choose from.
Should I do that? Now my other one's gone, which is good, I guess. I don't have to.
So can I get?
We shouldn't have automatically done
I
that.
know.
So to do simplified login.
Oh, no, they're over here.
So pull that, the second one, the second drop down. There it is. And then let it populate. And then you can remove that one. Yeah, so you've got to pull down which one you want. It gives a second to populate. These are still quick.
And then simplified login for this class.
Oh yeah, so you can customize things. Yeah. So don't worry, we're gonna get things set up, okay? All right,
You can do the same with that.
What I'd like to do is, if all of you would just go to manage and assign like I am right now. Okay, if you're a visual person, I always love doing this because I am a top tab person, so I just read the words right up there. Nancy and I were just working together, and she's the visual person, so I was saying manage and assign up here, but for Nancy, it's that picture right there is going to be her guide. Depends on how your brain works, obviously. So go to manage and assign. Just about 3 things I want to show you here. Some of you are very interested in assigning things to students, having them come back. The whole assignment manager is underneath manage and assign. Okay? That's one of the sub-tabs. The second sub-tab that's pretty important would be the class details. Christina, are you going to get the class rosters? Do you want to take a moment to say something?
Yes, as soon as Erin and team or you get your class rosters, and I know they're gonna change. Once you get them, they're gonna change again, and then they're gonna change again, and then the kids are gonna come, and then they'll change one more time. Once those get to us, our team will go in and add the kids into your classes for you, so you don't have to go through the adding and redeeming content and stuff. But we just have to wait until those are generated. Every school and district is different, so I don't know if you each get your own class list at a different time. If you could send it on to us, that would be great, or if they all come through Erin, we're not sure yet. So however they get generated, as soon as they get to me, we can get them in.
So you're empty as you scroll down here. You have nothing here. I have some kids listed here. This is where your kids will be shown. One of the really cool things about the students and groups, I can just do a flexible grouping. So I can say right there what group that student is, and then I can assign things by groups. So I don't have to click the student's individual names. But it's flexible. Who's in charge of arranging the groups? You as a teacher. There's nothing beyond that. It's just you saying, oh, you know what? Bridget really can do more beyond materials. I'm going to mark her as beyond, so I start sending her the beyond materials. Okay? It's as simple as that.
Are students aware of what groups they're being put in?
Last but not least, we get a lot of questions about sharing, because sharing is caring. If you platoon students, you do rotations, you have a Title I teacher, that would be whatever it might be, you can share your planner and your students with anybody who has a ConnectEd account.
The Learning Center teacher?
As long as they have that ConnectEd account, it's been really great for push-in, pull-out type of communication. You can share your information. When you share, you get to dictate if you trust the person or if you allow them to modify your planner and lesson plans. You don't have to. Or if they're allowed to interact with your students. So there's a lot of questions about team teaching. You know what? I created the plan. I want my team to see the plan I created. Can I give it to them? You can print it up or just share your account with them and they can see that plan. So it really allows for good collaboration within school sites too. Of course you can, Cody.
Okay, so for each of our classes, there shows a login URL. Is that specific to each one of us, or is that just a generic?
Did you do a simplified login option?
Yeah.
That's why there's a specific URL.
Yeah, like yours is different than mine.
So if you don't want to do a simplified, just do the regular ConnectEd URL. You can edit your class and unclick the simplified login.
Okay. I was just thinking what we were talking about earlier. If you have a Chromebook, are you putting that URL into Google Classroom and then they click on it to get to it? Or is it a generic one on our school homepage?
It would be generic unless you do simplified. The reason why simplified is not generic is that it has to allow the student to have like an apple and an orange to click versus just numbers and letters.
So it would be better to have simplified, that way it's on your homepage when they just open it up and you click on it. not simplified, right?
Yeah, not simplified. I suggest simplified for K to 1.
Yeah.
I think beyond that, just the simple URL you use to get in would be the URL for your kids to get in as well, your students.
And I loaded my people, I know, it's annoying, but I loaded mine to have the same, their Google ID, which is what they knew, that's their username, and their password is their same password as their Google password. That way, they don't have to know 47 different good passwords.
Excellent. Excellent. What I'd like to do is I'd like us to go to the plan, because many of you are interested in looking at the plan digitally. So if you're a visual person, click on plan here, or click on the top part that says plan. So this is your weekly plan. Everything is adjustable. You click on plan. How many of you have unit 0 showing on top? Because that was Start Smart, right? So that's your unit 0. It'll have week 1. So this basically here is what would be in that teacher edition idea. So let's say I wanted to work on introduce the concept. You would click on the lesson itself, and you're brought to the teaching part of it, things that are in the slideshow. Someone asked about the collaborative conversation video.
Students need frequent modeling and practice to learn how to participate effectively in collaborative conversations.
So that's your background there, okay? But one thing that I want to make sure that we do is go back to plan, and we'll reset things, okay? But I want you to learn about with the plan how it works to reorganize things. How many of you, in your reality, you reorganize whatever resources you have, right? You might put something in front, I want to do my phonics first, or I'm going to move this to day 3 because that fits into my time frame. Because these are resources for you to use, right? It's not like a boom, 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 have to do boom. They're resources. So what you can do in the plan is that you can move around lessons by day, by order. It's just a drag and drop. And on this planner, whole group and small groups all on one planner, but we're in Start Smart, so really just that top part of Start Smart is being used because it's shorter little lessons. But you can drag and drop and move the order of things.
And you were saying that we could also organize that, we're only gonna do 3 days of.
Yeah, we're gonna do that in about 2 minutes. We'll do the calendar for that.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Go ahead. We're trying to pull up that collaborative conversations video by clicking on where it says respond to the text. And when I open mine, I don't get anything other than a summary of what respond to the text was, whereas you had all that stuff.
When I clicked on building background lesson.
We're just on the very first listen, respond to text, but it doesn't give you the video.
Yes, so I'll show. I went to building background. I went to a different lesson, which is why I had more there.
Oh.
I clicked on a different lesson, but
Does that read it loud? I didn't see where that component could read it aloud.
this is Start Smart. We're not gonna spend lots of time here because it doesn't have as much as any of the other units and weeks.
But you can't have it read aloud, like the first story I just pulled up, you can't have to read it aloud.
Not for Start Smart.
Gotcha.
Start Smart's for the routines more than anything else.
Got it.
Yeah, it's their interactive read aloud.
Mm-hmm.
There's just not the words, it's the summary only on that one.
So please do me a favor, and either writing it down in your teacher edition or following with me, will you click on resources? And then we'll adjust our calendar, okay? I want to go to resources because this is your entire program. Resources, your entire program. If you're gonna spend time somewhere, resources is a good place to spend it. It's everything. You're not gonna use it all, you get it, but it's everything. In resources, if you scroll down to on the left-hand side, it's the third from the bottom, it says Study Sync. Study Sync are videos for different purposes. So one of the things, Donna, that we were looking at in Start Smart were the collaborative conversation videos. There's 3 different ones. So you can view them and see which one you'd want to use for that Start Smart, but there's 3 different models of collaborative conversations there.
Okay, so this one says small group video, so I probably want the one that says small group
You got it,
discussion.
you got it. So the collaborative conversation videos, there's one for small group.
Wildfires are really dangerous. I know, they're scary. But they're good for the environment too. It says so in the book.
And what book is that, Tony?
This one. Wildfires by Seymour Simon.
Do you 3 think you can work collaboratively today?
Yeah.
Yeah? Good. And what are your agreed upon rules for the discussion? Delaney.
We made a checklist. Yep, I have it right here. We're going to listen to the person who's speaking.
Good.
Ask questions if we don't understand something. And try to stay on topic. That's the hard part for me. Especially when it comes to wildfires, because they're super cool.
I'll pause it. Do your students necessarily sound like that in their conversations?
Yes.
Yeah. We know that. Everyone, that's an exemplar of conversations. We're setting it up as a model. So it's there to show about collaborative conversations. Okay? That's what it's really set up for within it. You do have a instruction routine handbook that was passed out to you. And maybe you might want to go and mark down R70. R70 is all our instruction routines about collaborative conversations. R70.
I'm trying.
On R73, if you turn a couple pages, if you want, I can send this to you. On R73, we created the sentence starters in one document. So if you want, I'll send it to you where it takes out everything else and it puts speaking role on the left side and listening role on the right-hand side. And it's a good little handout you can do or you can project it. So Christina, I'll send that to you. So just some things that we do, right? We take this idea and just want to put it in a document that's already been done for you. And then there's just some nice student-facing collaborative conversation roles. This book, of course, is digital, so you can print anything up digitally. This is a printer. But it has the different grade levels for what are the roles of collaborative conversations, if you want to keep that as a reminder for students.